Our next inductee was a four-year letterman from 1981 through 1984 for the football Colonels. He started 52 consecutive games, which at the time was an NCAA record. As a freshman in 1980, he was moved from offensive guard to center after a neck injury limited his duty, and he received a medical redshirt season. In 81, he began his string as the Colonel starting center as EKU led the nation in total offense and set school records for most yards rushing with 3,078 and TDs with 48. EKU finished first in the final poll. As a sophomore in 82, he was a second-team All-OVC choice as the Colonels went 13-0 and won the national title. As a junior, he was selected as the team's most valuable player on offense, on his way to being chosen as a first-team Kodak All-American. EKU finished the 83 season 8th in the nation in rushing offense, 8th in the nation in the final poll, on the way to a third straight OVC championship. His senior year in 1984 produced a second consecutive selection, first-team Kodak All-American. He also served as offensive captain for the second straight season as Eastern won that fourth straight league title, finished 8th in the final poll that season, and led the conference in rushing again that season at 206.4 yards a game, and rushing TDs, 26 of them. He graduated in 1985 with a bachelor's degree in fire safety engineering technology with an emphasis in industrial risk management, and since he has continued his career in risk management and safety. Ladies and gentlemen, he wore number 53, Chris Sullivan.
Well, thank you very much. It really humbles you to hear those kind of statistics because when you live through something like that, personal achievement is extremely important. And everybody wants that as an athlete, to be personally recognized individually. Several people have mentioned their teammates up here tonight, and I want to make sure that everybody understands personal attention and individual awards make you feel so wonderful, but you take every teammate with you and you share it with them instantly and you say, we did this together. And they're like, congratulations, man, way to go. And you're like, no, this works for both of us. This works for all of us. Football is the ultimate team sport. The coaches, since you were this tall when they're teaching it to you, there's 11 guys on the offense. Every single one of them has an assignment. Every one of them has a duty and a job. One mistake, and look at him, sounding like a coach. This is drilled into your head, so you take these teammates with you. But when you're individually recognized, you say, wow, this is icing on the cake. It can't get any better than that. It seems surreal to come back 30 years later and to hear those statistics. But at the time, when we were living that, it was expected of EKU. We were going into the season as number one in the nation, and we would say, yeah, that's right. And we would line up and we would cause pain. I used to tell my family, I'd say to my dad, look, those guys are dragging their equipment back to the bus with their heads down. I said, but the funny thing is their heads were down when they were coming in to Hanger Field because they knew they were going to get whooped. But all this starts when you're a kid and when you're with a great family and you have the upbringing. And my dad has the work ethic of an animal, anyone that knows him. He's the exact same age as Coach Kidd. So those two men in my life, mirror each other. And my brothers were at every game. My dad was a ringleader. They'd get up at 4 in the morning on Friday and they'd drive up and they'd be at every game. And that builds something inside an athlete because the preparation for that week and the anticipation of what was about to happen. And I like to call Saturday payday. I built these little things in my head, and one of them was Saturday is payday. Coach Kidd told us that you don't win the game on Saturday. You're going to go out and play on Saturday, but you start winning on Sunday night when you watch the film, Monday's practice, Monday night film. If you're not preparing yourself to win that game on Saturday, you're going to be in trouble. and that team is going to know it. So Coach Kidd knew how to motivate us. We had other things and distractions on campus. There was so much going on, and we'd say, well, yeah, we got a game Saturday, but Coach Kidd taught us on Monday you win the game, and that's when we prepare to be victorious. Well, the record stands for itself. Here's what's happening in 30 years ago. I would walk out on the field and I'd look across the line and I'd say, here's what's going on. We're going to be going up and down this field all day. And unfortunately, I'm going to be dragging you with me. And you're going to end up in our end zone about 4 times. Good luck. And we got a swagger and we had a confidence in ourselves that could not be denied. And there's little things that build that in you. Coach Kidd would look at me in practice and he'd say, we got an All-American center. If we need a foot or a yard, we're just going to go right off your big butt. And we're going to get that yard, and we don't have to worry about it. And I said, yes, sir, just do it. We even got to a point where the center or the quarterback would come up and tap me, and it was time. And he didn't even have to say a word, and we'd go. So one game, the quarterback comes up, taps me, I snap, we go, turn around, he's laying behind me. We didn't get it. So I run off the field, and Coach Kidd grabs me, and he goes, what happened? And me being the intellectual that I was, I had an answer for him. I said, we didn't get it. He's like, what do you mean we didn't get it? We had a deal. I said, we'll get the next one. I had an insatiable desire to be on the field. I had 52 consecutive starts was not an option for me. I did not want to be anywhere but on the field. That's where I did my best leading. I was team captain, and I knew that being on the field and pulling this team with me was the way to do it. So Coach Barton took care of us in the training room, and I tried to stay away from him. 6 o'clock in the morning, you had to be in there, and I don't know where he got his medical education, but everything was about a bucket of ice with water in it. And at 6 in the morning, man, how's Mr. Sullivan today? You hear that a couple of times, you're like, I'm fine. I'm going back to bed. So, you build this toughness within you as a kid, and you bring it here, and then these wonderful men develop you. Coach Canan, who's a marvelous coach, started my career. Tom Jones, Doug Carter, Pete Carrero. These position coaches mean so much to you as a young man, and they're just wonderful men. And the people that came through this institution and are still here, Coach Blankenship, Tanera, Teddy Taylor, they're just fantastic men. You cannot take young men like this, throw them into this new environment, and then expect success without that kind of mentorship. So here it is in '82, we're undefeated. I met this new girl, and I'm on EKU's campus. Fall is in the air. I mean, my family is coming down, 12, 15 of them at a time for the home games. How much better could life be? My wife, Kirsten, we just celebrated our 26th wedding anniversary. So in '82, when we met and then dated for 5 years, that was brought to me by EKU. The championships were brought by EKU. These individual awards were brought to me by EKU. So to say the love I have for this environment is just completely understated. The teammates, again, that you work with on a day-to-day basis, and you sweat it out and you fight it out, are really the cornerstone of this program. And like Joe Spadafino said, to this day, we can count on each other anytime we need. I want to recognize Coach Kidd, because when you talk about EKU athletics nationally, and when you talk about EKU football, you do talk about Coach Roy Kidd. And the moments that I can personally say that I shared with him will always be with me in a way that it's only ours. Nobody else can have that. So to be in a system like that, in a program, you really, words don't define it. I broke my thumb going into my junior year, and it's my snapping hand, and I go down and get an x-ray, and they said, well, it's broken, you broke your thumb. And I said, no, that can't be right. I'm the center and I have to snap with that hand. And they said, well, you must be Polish. And I said, yeah, I am. That's true. And they said, no, it's broken and you can't snap with that hand. So one of the coaches says, don't worry, we'll move you to guard. And Coach Kidd says, no, hang on a second. Can you snap with your left hand? I said, I don't know. And he said, well, give it a try. Go over there and work on it. So I went over and worked on it for a few minutes. He goes, how's that feel? I said, well, it feels slow. And he goes, well, do it faster. And when I became center, I had this, I said, I got to make this position my own. I don't know what to do. So I'm thinking about it. And I said, okay, I start every play. I'm at an advantage here. Nobody can move until I do. So the biggest thing with a center is you've got to be quick, and I had the quick feet, and I turned my snap into an explosion. This is what I built in my head. I said, I'm going to have a stick of dynamite in my hand, and every time the ball snapped, that dynamite's going to go off, and that's going to be my advantage. So all of a sudden now my hand's gone, and I've got this, and there was no stick of dynamite, but I made up something else. We cast this thing with a rubber pad, and I missed one practice and started snapping left hand. That was my first All-American award that year. I snapped the whole year left-handed because I kept breaking this one. We'd get out of 3 or 4 games would go by, I'd say, can you x-ray this thing? And they'd x-ray it, and they'd go, well, it's broken. And they said, did you really think this was going to heal? And I said, well, yeah, a couple of weeks would go by, and I'd just go back to my right hand. So I snapped the whole season left-handed. I did not want to not be on the field for my teammates and for my love of the game, but more importantly for Coach Kidd, because he demanded that we be our best, and you perform for him. And we all feel the same way. We expected to be number 1 in the nation. We expected to go in and beat people that we weren't supposed to. We expected people to come into Hangar Field and walk out dragging their equipment with their head down. And it all started with Roy Kidd. You can't meet finer people than Roy and Sue Kidd. And everybody here that knows that, it's unfortunate the rest of the United States doesn't get to experience it like we do. So, fantastic people. I've been blessed with a grandson 9 months ago. Caitlin and Jacob had our first grandbaby, Cameron. My son Josh and Jordan are here. I am just thrilled to be able to accept this award. Thank you to the committee, and thank you for thinking of me after 30 years. And when I hear those awards personally, I love it. And people say, well, you're way too humble. You were that good. And it was the university that brought it out in me. I could have never had this success without the chemistry of these coaches and these players and the wonderful atmosphere in the fall with EKU. So I am super blessed to be here. I love this university, and I'll take the award, but let everybody know that it's the experience that is the true beauty of what we did here. So thank you very much.